everybody, welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. The funniest, most heartwarming show that is just about to be on TV is created by our next guest. It's called PEN15, and it stars Anna Konkle and Maya Erskine, who play Anna and Maya, two middle school girls coming to terms with their bodies, each other, boys, and the year 2000. Oh yeah, they're also not 13. They're around 30. Let's take a look. Everybody, please put your hands together for Anna Konkle and Maya Erskine, the creators of, I'll be honest, my new favorite show. They sent me all the episodes, and I watched all of them very quickly. I was watching them on my computer downstairs, and people sitting across from me kept saying, "What are you watching right now? Your eyes are smiling. Like, what is happening to you?" It's so great. It's so funny and smart and heartwarming. And what a bad interview so far. I did not know. I read nothing about it prior to watching the first episode. Yeah. So I'm watching the first episode going, how old are these two actresses? Because at moments I'm like, I think they're 13. And then at other moments I'm like, that is not a 13-year-old girl. What am I watching?
Those wrinkles. Yeah.
So how did this start? Where did you come up with the idea to play 13-year-old girls? What gave you the confidence to do it?
Yeah, it was always scary from the beginning, I think. But we started the process maybe 6 years ago was the idea. And we talked to our agents at that time and we're like, we have this idea. We're so naive. And we're like, so we probably got to keep our schedules clear, like for next year or whatever. And they're like, these things take a long time if you're lucky enough for it to like slow down. Yeah. So yeah, and I think the idea kind of began with a feeling as adults that you never leave that time, and the insecurities were still very much following us, whether it was like an adult party or, which makes it sound like a porn party. And that's not what I mean.
An adult sex party.
I mean,
now.
Like 18 and up.
Party.
Right. Party, yeah, I don't know. And then feeling that those same feelings of those familiar feelings, and maybe as you get older, you're better at hiding them, and maybe you don't hold your body in the exact obvious way that you feel, humiliated at all times. But it's still there, at least for me. And I think we connected about that.
Yeah, we connected about that. And then I think the reason we decided to, or wanted to play these characters is because we wanted to tell middle school in an R-rated way. Because middle school for us was intense, and it was ugly, and it was awkward, and we never really saw anything at the time reflected to us that showed our reality of middle school. And in order to show R-rated scenes or have those scenes played out, we had to have adults play those kids because you can't really put a 13-year-old through that.
Otherwise
and
it'd be a Larry Clark movie.
Yeah, it'd be a problem.
Todd Solondz.
Todd Solondz, right. But also we wanted to have enough distance for the viewer to be able to laugh at it. Because I think if you see an adult playing a kid, even though we want you to believe we're kids for the most part, you're able to sit back and laugh as opposed to watch something very dramatic. I think it'd be more traumatic and dramatic if you saw a 13-year-old doing that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there is a discovery that your character makes about 3 episodes in, a discovery that all of us make. I don't want to give anything away. I think people can use their imagination. Yeah. Where even though I knew you, the actress, were your age, I was still going, I'm a little disturbed watching this, but it still works. I mean, it's kind of brave to a certain degree to do that, or to even like jump off the cliff and hope that works. Fortunately, it does.
Yeah, it was definitely an experiment, and I'm glad that you are still able to face me right now and talk to me. It was funny because writing it didn't feel as exposing because you're still just in the safety and comfort of the writer's room. But as soon as I was performing it, we shot out of order.
Can we just say what it is?
We just say my character explores masturbation, and this really happened to me at that age, and happened to me. I did it. No one did it to me. I did it. And so
Keep telling yourself that.
That's crazy. Wow. But we shot out of order. So one of the first weeks of shooting, I'm sitting in my kid underwear playing with My Little Ponies, and then I discover masturbation, and you've got like 5, crewmen just like holding the boom up and watching and not knowing what they got involved in. Just like, what show is this? Why am I watching this adult woman in a bowl cut, touching herself, playing My Little Ponies? Like, it was absolutely absurd. And so
when you say it like that, yeah.
it is. I mean, but so.
I like the grip that went home that night, and his wife was like, "What'd you work on today, hun?"
No idea. He probably went home and was like,
shit.
I
think I have to
leave.
quit. Yeah. But luckily they stayed, and it's just something that we always talk about that we never get to see women explore that. I think Broad City does it, but and they do it extremely well. But yeah, I never saw masturbation on TV or film with women. I always saw men making jokes out of it, boners, all of that was, an American Pie. You're able to laugh at it, but I always felt ashamed as a woman.
I think only until recently, and Broad City's one of them, only until recently, whether it's movies or TV, we're seeing masturbation without shame. Even in the 90s, when it would appear in film, it was mostly in independent films, and it was mostly like
sad.
It was like
a fucking pervy loser who was masturbating.
Exactly. It was Hot Salons, or it was Naomi Watts, like crying and masturbating in Mulholland Drive. It was either sad or sexualized or.
And in school, at least in my school, it was like that was the joke. Like a guy had a boner or something, and that was like funny, or someone like bragged about it or whatever. And if that was reversed and that was about the girl. It was not a joke. It was like a rumor.
It was, you're disgusting. And so I felt shame, and I felt like no one ever talked about it. So I carried that with me still to this day. Like it's hard to feel like I'm doing an okay thing when I do that because no one talks about it.
Yeah. I think it's so important.
I want to go back to something that you were saying earlier about when you came up with the idea and then you brought it to your agents and then you decided to play the characters, or did you have the characters as yourselves before you even took it into pitch? Because one of the things that I love watching that you're so good at is how you carry your bodies. Your bodies are carried so perfectly for that period of time, that age. And to me, when I was watching, I was like, oh, they had to have had that first and then be like, oh, let's make a show of this funny thing that we do with our bodies.
That's so nice.
Really nice.
Yeah, I mean, also the clothes really help inform it. Yeah. It all was very misfitting, and like right now, like I feel like a mom because I'm in a mom suit. Anyway, so I feel but we did sort of start with the characters. We
generally start from a place of characters. That's what interests us, and then from there we sort of brainstorm what the idea would be. Just when we've made web series before.
I feel like when it started, you immediately, like when we first started talking about it, you were like, and I'm in a bowl cut, and I have a mustache.
And you got braces, and you're tall, and you're flat, and you look jacked up, and, we're just standing, so it can start like that. But then we were hoping we would have rehearsal time before we went into filming, just because we were, even though we had made a 15-minute presentation, which is like a half pilot to sell this, and that was our experiment in playing these characters, but it felt scary to go back to it. We're like, wait, how do we play this? Because it's a version of yourself at a younger age, but it's also not yourself, and it's an exaggeration, but then you come through. And so we didn't have time to rehearse, but I remember thinking, just looking at Anna as a 13-year-old and being next to her, that was all I needed, and we just played off each other in the beginning, initially, and the clothes.
Yeah.
Have your parents seen it at all, and have they Because I'm just curious. They're like, yeah, that was you. This is exactly what you were like.
I mean, for me, because my mom's in it. She plays my
your
mom.
Oh,
That's
okay,
my real mom. It's crazy, and so and my brother, my
Such
real
a head trip. Sorry.
I can't even imagine.
I mean, I love that woman. She's a nutbag. My brother edits the show. Wow. So I got my whole family wrangled in, and he did say it was like PTSD editing the scenes where I'm like whining to my mom or yelling, because he was like, if I hear your goddamn voice one more time yell like that, I'm gonna freak out. So for him, he thought it was really strange because it felt like watching his 13-year-old sister again. Yeah. And then I hope they don't watch the masturbation episode, but.
Well, your mom's in that scene.
My mom's in that scene. She asks, what's that smell? And I say, I farted, it's a sweet potato. But Yeah, my dad has not watched that yet, so
And we hope that he never will.
please
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, and my parents haven't seen it. I'm scared.
Are you gonna have them? You're gonna have them
they're
watch
gonna
it.
watch.
They're gonna watch.
Yeah, they're gonna watch.
Are you gonna talk to them
They
before?
know they're kind of in it a little bit, sort of like in terms of they're arguing. I don't know.
Looking around like she's right behind you.
I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, they just, yeah.
If
so
that
that's it.
camera was your mother, like they're arguing.
So sorry. Yeah, they're always arguing behind me. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous about them watching it a little bit, but you know,
I think they're gonna
supportive.
love it.
You know, obviously the things that there's so many things that you do with your performance. I think it's mostly that bring you into this age. But there's a lot of cool camera work that seems like is done as well. Your directors find lenses and find these different ways and find castmates, I think, to also accentuate the age that you're trying to be. Is that true? How did you go about this? What was the technical way that you guys did this?
I mean, we talked a lot about how we wanted the show to look, and I don't think any of us feel like it's ever going to be fully achieved, but we tried, and the idea was to feel like you're dropped into a memory, ideally. And so I think just the more that we could lean away from like a shiny feeling, kind of, and like everything being a little TV or a little perfect, and again, like it wasn't fully achieved, but that was always the goal. And even with how we shot it and how, having like, TV is so often shot and it's great, but where it's like over the shoulder and you see a shoulder and then you see the person that shoulder is talking to. And like in real life, I when I'm thinking back in a memory, I'm not like me and then my shoulder and then somebody else, I'm me and I'm talking to somebody else. So we tried to think in those terms of like how to shoot it, right?
Yeah, and I feel like also just with a lot of wide lenses and close-ups to feel more intimate and like you were right there with us going through that feeling. It sort of brings the audience in more.
Yeah,
maybe.
And we had an amazing DP and amazing directors that all were passionate enough that they put up with us being like, one more little thought.
They had great ideas
Yeah,
too.
they're all brilliant. Yeah.
One of the things that I love about the show is that all of your castmates are of age for middle school. They are 12 and 13 years old. And there are moments where you are locked in a closet with one of them for 7 minutes in heaven or something along those lines. And there is this innate tension of how this scene is going to be played because it's an adult and a child having a sort of awkward, intimate moment at 13 years old. Was that something that you guys sort of knew while you were scripting that, oh, this will land on multiple layers because of that? Or did you find in the editing room like, oh, there's a whole other layer we weren't even really thinking of that is very fun and weird to be a part of?
We tried to be really cognizant about how we shot certain moments. So like there's a kiss.
You are.
Oh yeah. Oh no, totally. And so that I think, I mean, for me, correct me for what you think, but that moment, the joke is that like Maya she can't handle it. She's like avoiding this possible first kiss. So in that scenario, it was just like.
And Brendan's ready to rock and roll.
And Brendan's ready to rock and roll later for like Anna's first kiss. And that was
His
like.
cocky nod.
From the inception of the idea was like, when do we use body doubles? Whether it's, shooting one half of the room even in episode 3, when the boys are watching porn, like, we shot their side and then they left and then we shot the porny side.
Right. And I think just in terms of humor, that was a lot of what drew us to this concept of like, there are certain scenes that will play better when you have it paired with an adult with a kid, because Maya being nervous around a little kid is funnier, I think, than
And more honest.
and
too,
more
yeah.
honest. And like when you're talking to Alex, your crush, he's like comes up to here on you, and you're like, he's the hottest guy in the school, and he's this, boring vanilla little shrimp, not
Right.
the actor, just
Which
the
were
idea.
all my crushes
Who's
in
mean
7th
to you
grade.
as
Who's
well.
mean?
Who's mean,
Who's
yeah.
like mean and says, nah, chill. Like that's all he
Yeah.
says, and
So-
he's the most interesting man in the universe at the
Chill.
time. I mean, so yeah,
That's
I feel like
fucked
we
up.
all have those archetypal characters or kids in our class. There was that one hot dude. You all know the first and last name. I know you have it right now in your head. And it's, you have the archetypal kid like Becca Roth, who's the gossip who uses humor to stick around the popular kids, but is also really nasty.
Mean-spirited humor. Yeah.
So that person always rose in the ranks somehow.
Yeah.
In my school.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, because it's always a hierarchy. Like
Right.
middle school, especially that age, is such a hierarchy. And even when you have a friendship like the two of you who are kind
Right.
of these outcasts, when you get pushed into the fold with other people, you start building a hierarchy on each
Oh
other.
yeah, like
as well.
we'll start, but we were just talking about that. But it's like you'll do anything to survive at that time. So even if you're a victim, you'll victimize other kids. Like you're willing to put your best friend, throw her under the bus just to be like, yeah.
In a
like,
low moment.
In a low moment.
Yeah.
So that was fun to explore too, to not have these two kids be angels. They're complicated, complex people.
Have you put your most embarrassing moments in the show yet, or are those still to come?
There's some more to come for you and for me.
Yeah.
Rumors for you, and
Yeah.
mine's my pad flying out on stage, things like that.
Oh, that reminds me. The woman who plays the custodian is
Jan.
so amazing. Where did you find her? She's just incredible casting, and I love that she has such a mini
I love
arc.
that you love her.
She's amazing.
We had so much more we wanted to add for that character too, but there wasn't enough time. She's so great. Do you remember the show Popular?
Yeah, I don't remember.
She was
anything
on
about
that
it
show.
other
She
than
was
it
a
exists.
teacher on that show.
Oh.
And she
but
also,
I watched it as a kid.
And she played a bunch of different characters on that show.
She did? I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's so cool that they did that. But like that was the
wow.
only character where like she'd come back as different characters all the time. So anyway, she's been working for a long time. She's really talented. I love her.
Yeah, she's great.
And how did you go about casting the kids as well?
It was so hard.
Auditions. It was really hard.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go. No, really, go.
I was just gonna. Oh God, it's
fine.
I was just gonna say that it was really hard. That's probably what you're
Very
gonna
hard,
say. And
Just talk at the same time.
yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It
It was hard, and we
getting
had to cast
kids-
the whole series in 1 month, essentially.
essentially. Yeah, the kids were, like most of the kids working in TV are good at what they do because they like can work in TV. So they have, a shine about them, or I keep saying shiny, but like a sheen about them that's like, I can do Disney, I can do sitcoms, I can do, and it was really hard to find kids that just felt super authentic and again felt like you were back in that memory and it was the kid sitting next to you as opposed to the kid that you were watching on TV.
Right.
A lot of the kid actors, I think, for most of them, this was one of their first jobs or their first job. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
So that
a lot of
was
people,
cool
yeah.
to watch.
Does that make it harder? I mean, I'm sure they're wonderful, so I don't want to slight them in any way.
no.
But harder to direct them because they take direction as well? Do you think as the other kids who have a bit more polish to them and know how to walk in and be like, so do you want me to play this dramatic or how do you want me to do this?
I think it was
My
nice
character's
because
motivation
there was less polish, sort of like in a nice way where I don't know, as an actor that's like gone through acting school and like there's definitely a time in my life and I still can be like this where someone gives me a note and I'm just like I'm gonna do that 1,000,000%, and they're like bring it down. You're not that sad.
One of our directors, Dan, would say, what would he do? Like he'd be like, 50%, take it down. Take it down 85%. All right, take it down 99%.
Yeah.
He'd just keep yelling out numbers, and they'd basically, to the point where they're doing nothing. He gives great
He
direction for
does.
kids. It
this
really
is
works.
just for the kids he would do that?
Yeah.
I think I got it once maybe.
True, that is an absolute tone of the whole show is that like all the kids around you are monotone most of the time versus the two of you who are like your emotions are just chaos.
Right.
Right, because
Yeah.
I guess we're highlighting our characters the most because we're, going through the stuff. But I feel like all kids at that time are going through the most intense emotions. It's a time of really high highs, really low lows. You're going through all your firsts, your body's changing, your hormones are changing. So there is a lot of crying. There's a lot of acting out. There's and that was fun to explore.
Yeah, and there's something else I think about that age where you and we have all these years beyond that, so maybe it's weird going back there, but where kids are trying to like not do anything too extreme because that you might do it wrong. You know what I mean? So like the coolest kid in school just saying like only a few words, chill, sweet, sup, or as an example, it's kind of a safer place to stay in a way.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's true.
I hate when I do this during interviews, but I just love the show so much that I'm just going to bring up a moment that I laughed really hard at, which is when Brendan gives your character money and says, "Go get yourself a Mountain Dew," and I
love that
I was just like, where did they find
That's
this
so
kid?
nice.
How did they know to give him
He's-
this line? He's so good at it.
He's a genius. Like, he's so amazing.
That like came on the spot too. But he has that energy. He has like the energy of like,
An old man.
yeah,
Yes.
wise.
Wise.
Like
Very
he could
wise.
teach me like, how to live life correctly. I feel like, he just like, he was just great.
He would drink Red Bulls all the time, and he was just like, I'm only allowed one, and we're like, great. How could it just one every morning, and he'd just be like leveled
Inspired
out.
me to
Like,
start,
he wouldn't be hyper.
start drinking Red Bull. I was like, he's okay. I need
That
one.
was leveling you out real good. I guess I should be doing that.
How many ideas or how many stories did you have when you got into the writer's room? When you got basically the okay to do a whole season, 10 episodes, did you already have a lot of stuff fleshed out that you wanted, of stories that you wanted to tell about your time in middle school?
A few of them,
Yeah, because by that point it had been 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, at least.
So we had been talking about this endlessly for 4 years. And so we knew, Anna and I have heard the same stories over and over again. So we had these experiences to mine from for stories, but once we got into the writer's room and we're trying to create a story arc for Maya and Anna's relationship, that's where we had to meld all of our different stories together sometimes and use fiction too to make it work.
I think we have a question from Twitter. The question is, are there any shows you pulled from that inspired the look and feel of PEN15?
I wouldn't say shows, but we were really inspired by Welcome to the Dollhouse. Todd Solondz is our dream director. And
Have you ever met Todd Solondz?
No.
no, I want to so badly. Really?
Best.
What's he like?
He's exactly like you.
what
would
you'd have
expect.
expected.
He's the best. I interviewed him and he went, very smooth, Ricky. And I'm like,
No.
fuck, Todd Solondz is the man. Like, I love
Very
this guy.
smooth, Ricky.
I heard
I'm gonna
he
say
had
that
a
for the rest of the
play
night.
last time we were here in New York.
Great. It was
I
really
wanted
great.
to see it.
Yeah, I wanted to see it too. We missed it.
We missed it.
So you were looking at Welcome to the Dollhouse?
We used that as a reference way too many times.
We talked about a lot of shows that inspired us. I'm not
Freaks
sure.
and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks, Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon
What's so
Dynamite.
interesting about Welcome to the Dollhouse and Napoleon Dynamite? I mean, Napoleon Dynamite very much a sort of G-rated version of Welcome to the Dollhouse, just in look and not necessarily tone. Solondz is a bit drier than
Right,
Napoleon
right.
Dynamite, but they have a feel. This takes place in 2000, and those movies, I think, intentionally try to take place in this sort of like Americana,
Right.
not sure what year it is version, right? Like Dollhouse, there's something about it that feels the song that the guy's playing in the garage. Like, is this the 70s? What is that song? Why does he look like this? But it was this intention to try to keep it sort of like universal American time rather than 2000, which you guys actually
Yeah, that's
set it
interesting.
specifically
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, which is interesting you say that because we also tried to set it in middle, like kind of anywhere America. So it is a specific time period. So it's almost a time capsule. But because Anna, Sam, and I, the three creators, we all grew up in different parts of the States. We had certain differences in our, that we wanted to bring together. So it's kind of to create more universal feeling. But
and that year is what we knew. So
Right.
we're not going to write a school about. A school. We're definitely not going to write a school. We're not going to write a show about middle school. Now I wouldn't know where to begin.
and cell phones, I just wouldn't know. That would be a
so
nightmare.
bad at it. It would be like this horrible stereotype of kid. Like, I've tried to write stuff like that, and it's like I look at it and I'm like, kids are not like that. That's just your dumb idea that because media has told you that they're always on their phones and crazy.
Well, and I always go back to the fact I'm like, I don't even know how people are doing it, like setting things in current times now, because I'm like, there's an issue, you just like pick up your phone and you call somebody. Like that's the end of the story.
Can't tell a story.
No, you can contact anybody at any moment and like say and do anything. And back in the day, there were so many. You had to call somebody and you needed to find a payphone, and then you didn't have change and you had to find change from somebody.
I begged for change a lot in front of the vending machines in middle school. Oh,
that's
my thing.
Yeah, didn't you ask for like the extra change and you made money? Yeah.
Yeah, we made money and got a lot of spicy Cheetos and Cheez-Its.
There's another cast member that I want to bring up really fast because in the year 2000, she was in a movie that was like essential for me at 14 years old. It like blew my mind, and that's Malora Walters.
Love her.
From Magnolia. How did you guys get her? How did that come about?
We offered the role. Like we just kind of begged and said, please do this.
I was so happy and surprised that she took it on because we loved her work, and so it was great.
She's just the easiest person to work with. She's so committed to the craft of acting. I mean, and she was so open to like hearing my real parents' stories, and Taylor too, who played my dad.
That's great.
Yeah, he's amazing too. And they have this amazing kind of connection with each other. And you know, it is based on my real parents, and that. How do you describe like the complexity of that? And they just were down. I mean, I threw a lot at them. I was like, and then they were like this, and then they were like that. But I'm like, you don't have to do it, but.
That's so hard too, because your description of them is your interpretation of that time from the lens as well of being that age and being the age that you are now. And if you were to introduce them to your parents, they would probably just be like, they're nice people. I don't understand why I have to do this scene where they're like this. And you're like, no, you weren't there.
You weren't there. This is what it was like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I think we have time for one audience question before I let you go. Right here.
Hello.
Hi.
I just wanted to know what the process was like in terms of building your crew. You were saying that your brother edited the show, your mom had a small role in it. I guess I just wanted to know what that was like processing.
Well, we lucked out because we had a lot of friends who helped us out. So we knew our dear friend Jeremy Wrights, he was the line producer. So we've all kind of worked together before, lots of us. So we got to work with Grace Alley and Allie Rubenfeld, who did the art, and we had worked with them before. And the DP, Andy, we had all worked with, and that was Sam's best friend. And so it was kind of...
It was a crazy community that we got to kind of build, and that everybody was so down. I mean, after the first week, maybe.
Yeah.
After that, everybody like really just threw themselves into it, invested, because this was for TV. I mean, I don't want to misspeak, but I feel like relatively low budget, and so
really
that means
budget,
really long days, and you know, everyone's just has to go above and beyond in that instance, and people did so kindly, and yeah.
Well, I love the show so much. Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
Thanks for coming by and talking to us about it. PEN15 premieres tomorrow on Hulu. All episodes are dropping, right? And just watch all of them. Binge them right away.
Binge them on the
I did.
weekend.
It's really fun. Enjoy it and give them a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.